Well, I'm excited to have you guys here today. This is really just a conversation about our new virtual text product, web chat, SMS, and how it came to be, why we built it, and what we're learning along the way. So to start off, to kick things off with Lon, let's start at the beginning. What made us build the product? What did we add? Why did we add web chat to virtual text?
Well, first we started building the product because Lynn and I were talking one afternoon and we decided we could build it because everything we were using today at that moment in time was not very good. It was missing features, wasn't moving fast enough, didn't solve all our needs as a business. And so we decided, hey, can we build a prototype in a week or two and see what it looks like? And if we could, then we could make it a viable product. If we couldn't, then, well, we would do something different. And luckily, it came together really fast thanks to both our own extensive experience as a company, as well as the power of AI to kind of accelerate our development cycle, which was incredible. And that's what led us down this path at this point. Speaking of web chat, that came on later when we sat down in a discussion. We looked at the prototype and we're like, what are we missing, right? And we're like, hold it, we have to have web chat. It's one of the critical things that we didn't have in the existing version of virtual text, but we ourselves relied on every day through a third party. We're like, why are we doing it through a third party when we could just add it into virtual text? Lynn, you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, we essentially created the product to solve our own pain point that we were having interacting with our customer, internal teams. And we wanted to create this product now to give our team the ability to have a seamless experience with our customer, help them address the issues with the platform that we were using through the third party. But it became a solution that integrated web chat as well as text solutions.
You know, speaking of that is, let's just revisit our early discussion a little bit here. When we started building it, we were really talking about just upgrading text messaging, right? Yeah. And then we went into web chat. And what else have we talked about along the way, Lynn?
Potentially integrating other channels of communication, messagings, our long-term strategy is to really integrate in potentially RCS, WhatsApp, other channels of communication that businesses today use to communicate with their customer, but each of those channels are segmented. So we want to reduce that fragmentations of the communications and tying it in, and starting now with web chat and SMS.
That's awesome to hear. What would you guys say to a business owner that's currently using their cell phone to text their customers?
In what way, Charlie?
Yeah, I mean, just a small business that's currently relying on their phone to try to handle everything, and maybe they're overloaded, and they feel like it's not doing a good enough job, and they're looking for an alternative out there. Like, what would you say to them? Like, how can we solve some of those pain points that they're experiencing? Maybe the confusion, the coordination with their existing team members.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. Because, that was the key to virtual text in the first place. We had done some texting before that in our platform over the 27 years we've been around, but we got virtual text because we wanted to say more robust for business owners like ourselves. It always starts with us. We want to solve our own pain points first, and then when we find value in that, we think other business owners might have. Hey, we share it with them, obviously via product. The big piece that we think we're solving with both virtual text, the old virtual text and the new virtual text, is that when business owners are using their individual cell phones or employees using cell phones, that's it. No one else can see the conversation. And if that cell phone gets destroyed, damaged, has to be reformatted, that employee leaves, that founder leaves a company, all the messaging, all the relationships go with that person and leave the company. And so having kind of one platform where you can retain all those relationships with your customers. And one of the unique value propositions we just brought to the table with the release today was now see the entire conversation history with that individual customer from the moment of time they start texting you all the way through to the very moment you're talking to them. That's something that our new version of messaging basically has now that we think is super powerful. And again, you don't get that on a cell phone, right? You only get that basically if you're using a platform you can collaborate with other team members and where the company itself can own the relationship with the customer versus individual cell phones. Did that answer your question, Charlie?
Yeah, that definitely does.
Yeah, and ultimately the big thing is the collaboration piece, right? With individual cell phone, that piece is really missing, and oftentimes conversation get lost and customer interactions becomes a friction point for most businesses. So being able to tie everything in one place and seeing the history of the conversation, that's so valuable to many small businesses, especially when they're scaling.
Yeah, that's excellent to hear. And what did we learn while building it, and how are we using it internally?
Well, what we learned, we learned web chat was so critical to everybody. We got to many points in the development cycle of the product. We're like, let's go live, and we're like, but we really need web chat, right? And so that's what led us down the web chat path in the first place. Is when we kind of surveyed the entire team. We're like, hey, here's what it's at, where we're at right now. We want to go live. What would be missing? What would make your jobs easier and better? Oh, if we could have web chat and text messaging together, it would be so much easier than having two different systems. And that was one of the big kind of aha moments. We're like, oh, well, web chat's critical. We have to have it in here, which made us spend a lot of time making that a really great feature of the product. The other big aha moment, honestly, was we got to the point where we're like, wouldn't it be great if no one ever got dropped? If someone's busy, if all our customer care agents are busy, no one got dropped. And that led us down the path of adding AI to the product as a kind of a triaging agent to kind of triage inbound communications and then get them to the right person. And do it intelligently, so it's not another one of those dumb bots out there in the world that people complain about. And so those were a couple of the big aha moments, and also roadblocks in a sense, where we got to a point where like, hey, the product's ready to go, let's do it. We have to hold it. To really do it right, the correct way for our business and our customers, we need web chat. And then we got to another point where like, hold it, to really make it perfect, we need it so that no one gets dropped, basically. And those are two big aha moments that made us really, over the last 5 months, really kind of improve the product to a point where, we rely on it every single day to run our own business. And so we're looking forward to our customers doing the same thing with their businesses.
I see. Lynn, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think Lon essentially covered it, but what I really love is the fact that we used it internally every day. So we didn't just build the product for a potential customer, we built it for ourselves. So we could really validate the use case and be able to make those change as we went through iterations of the launch and ensuring that we're creating the best experience for our customer as we're launching the product, because we're using it on a daily basis.
I want to add one thing to Lynn. What you said there, Lynn, is just today, this morning, literally like 10 minutes before we started talking about the product today, we were still releasing updates. And we're doing that constantly based upon watching and observing how the communication goes with the customers, how the team responds. We're gaining a lot of insights into how teams collaborate, which we'll be revealing in new features in the near future, which is awesome too. And so we think that's a big piece, because remember, this whole thing ties back to one thing. Virtual PBX being a 100% remote team means that we really have to leverage tools like this to their maximum in order to run a very efficient and profitable business, as well as deliver top level service to customers. And so that at the heart of everything, when we talk about all the features, that at the heart of everything is what's driving the mission here when it comes to this product. And I think Lynn and I spend a lot of time talking about this, Charlie, and every day we're literally having discussions about, how can we make it better? What's not working? We just had a huge discussion yesterday about what's not working for our team. Now, this isn't the product. The product's amazing, but what can we do? How can the product be better to serve the customers better? And that's kind of the underlying mission for every feature. And we have a lot of cool ideas coming in the near future, which, again, for those people out there who might hear me, come sign up for the wait list and join us and come in and see a demo of the product, because I think you'll be amazed by it. To that, and Lynn, I want to ask you a question, Lynn. Managing our customer care team, right? What was the big thing you've learned so far from observing them use the product?
There's different aspects of it for sure. Being able to manage a different team, what I recognized was, as we're interacting with our customer, there were certain elements within our process that wasn't always clear, and it was very transparent. You could see in the conversations that we're having with the customer, and you can see in the product itself. So being able to make those change with the team as it's happening, or managing the team and effectively watching it in real time, and then being able to make the change with the team overall.
I have a question. So what is the feedback loop look like? I think one of the things that separates virtual PBX from other companies is we have a very strong feedback loop. When we get feedback internally or from customers, what does that actually look like?
Well, I want to talk to that for a second here, because we have some ideas that we're still fleshing out about how we're going to make it a much more intimate feedback loop than we have today. Even we're actually going to be building in the product some functionality so customers can basically give us feedback live in real time. Signal, hey, this chat could have been better in this way, this feature could have been better in that way, things like that. We're adding that to the product itself in the near future. Right now, the important part we have is that Lynn, being our chief product officer, is actually going to be working very closely with each of our customers coming on board the product here in this first quarter, in order to ensure that there's a tight feedback loop. And of course, we built into the product. so basically, customers can actually go to the help tab and chat with us inside the product, and we're using the product to support them, which is giving us great insight into how to make that line of communication even more efficient and better for both us as well as the customers themselves if they want to embed VirtualText web chat, for example, in their products.
That's excellent.
And we have several ways that we also gather feedback, whether it's internally or from customer. Particularly now with the new launch, yeah. I work closely with our waitlist customer, giving them demos, getting their feedback on features, seeing like what's working for them or potentially what's going to work for their business, and being able to take those actions and turn it into like feature sets that we currently have. So we do have a lot of path essentially for customers to share feedback as well.
That's great.
And one thing I think we should say for a whole separate conversation, Charlie, is we should spend a whole other conversation maybe next week, kind of a teaser, on AI and one of our killer features, which is playbooks. I think that's going to be a game changer for a lot of businesses.
Excellent.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were just talking to some customer recently, and Playbook was one of those things where they had a major aha moment. We were demoing the product, showing them what it could potentially do. And as we're generating content for what the AI agent user guide and the team guide, the customer recognized, okay, there's some information here that's shouldn't be on my website, shouldn't display. And they were able to take those details and correct it directly on the website. So there's a lot of value that we didn't initially realize with Playbook that are presenting as we're showing the customer the product.
Exactly. Yeah, that was the aha moment for all of us. We're like, yeah, we loved it ourselves. And then when we saw the customer experience it, we're like, oh, yeah, there's a lot of other ways they can use this data. So again, that should be a teaser. We should have another whole conversation about AI and Playbooks in particular.
Well, what would you say is the biggest value add moving from the older VirtualText product to the newer version for customers?
There's so many. Hang on, I'm going to interrupt you, Charlie. There's so many. Honestly, the old product was the UI was kind of aged. And so there was a limited collaboration that didn't really exist. In the new version of VirtualText, we have workflows, which allow you to really understand where the message and conversation with the customer is going. You have deep insight into intent, sentiment and intent of your customer base through the contacts. And then we have the entire unified communication and conversation history. So you can scroll back as far as the customer's been with you, whether it's in text messaging or web chat, and see the entire history of communication with them, which you can't do in other products, including the old version of VirtualText. Just those, to name a few, along with us bringing other channels of communication to this in the near future. And we won't say too much more about that, but we have some crafty plans about that. And so those are just some of them. Those are the big key ones, honestly. And I have not really experienced another product with as good a collaboration as our product. And that's what we focused on. Was we looked at all the other competitors in the market. We said, they really don't handle it very well. And our team went through withdrawal too. They were using substandard products for web chat, for example, before. And they kind of went through withdrawal and they got used to our product. Because they're like, oh, I don't have to jump through all these hoops to communicate with the customer and manage the conversation. And so that's another thing I think is a huge differentiator for what we've done in this.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I'm curious to know a little bit more about sentiment analysis. How can businesses use sentiment analysis in their own businesses and how they interact with their customers?
Well, the big piece for us was, and Lynn, you can speak to this. You speak to the contact section. Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, sentiment analysis really gives customer, if as a manager, you look at the conversation to see what's going on with your customer, it separates the different path, right? If a customer is irate or they're upset about something, it separates into that sentiment. Or if a customer is really happy and engaged, so you have the different view, and it creates different workflows, essentially. So if you're in a team that really instill in collaborations, you have that visibility to see all the sentiment analysis of different conversations that's going on within the different teams and be able to take actions on that, from a sales team to engaging in like a hot lead to a customer care agent taking action on an irate customer that needs help troubleshooting. So being able to have that visibility and just stemming into those workflows are crucial for many businesses.
And just real quick, we plan to expand on that. We have some really cool ideas for how to expand on sentiment and intent analysis for both customer care teams, billing teams, sales teams, business owners in general, and kind of expanding that to multiple layers of sentiment analysis too, so that owners of a company and supervisors might see a different layer of feedback versus what is coming to the frontline employees that are talking directly to the customers.
Right. So one question that we always get is, do we have an SMS API? Can we talk a little bit about that?
Sure. We actually have a rich set of APIs built into the product. That's from day one because we use it ourselves. Everything we do, we integrate with APIs and automation services in order to run our business. And so there's a rich API which allows for integration with CRMs, with all kinds of tools. And so we do plan on expanding that actually. And one of the unique features we have there, which we think is really cool, which came into being through our own use every day, was most of these CRMs, text messaging, communications platforms have webhooks and APIs. And those usually sound really technical, but people are getting more and more commonly used to those with the proliferation of automation platforms. We created a version of webhook called a forwardable webhook. And what that meant was that because we don't know what customers or even our own team members in some cases want to do, we want to be able to let a team member kind of connect up an automation through a webhook and connect that to a workflow somewhere out in the world that they have built for themselves, for their team, for their company, for their partners, whoever. And that was a unique innovation we think we came up with this, where you can now take a webhook connection to another platform and just check a box and say it's forwardable, which means that now it shows up in the UI for any employee or team member to basically just choose it in order to send a message or conversation off. We plan on expanding that concept across the platform so that basically customers can customize their actual workflows to integrate with other tools, including back office tools that are private and proprietary. And we think that's a really powerful tool that lets them kind of control the interface a lot more than typical tools which have kind of like cookie cutter automations and webhooks and things like that built in, where you're kind of limited to whatever the vendor provided. You can't extend it very much yourself.
That's
and it's
great.
a feature. Sorry, Terry. And it's a feature that we use heavily today, where we will forward escalations. The sales team have a really insightful conversation with a potential customer. We're forwarding that to our CRM, being able to create deals and sending them a proposal directly from there. So it's so useful. Yeah,
or like our customer care team, support teams will escalate up messages and issues up to our engineering team using it. And we have an in-house system of automation that connects all our back-end tools, and they can just forward it right into that. And again, I want to emphasize this one thing, which I think is really important for businesses joining and using this product with us, and for our own team even, to remind them, is that the cool part about it is, again, you're not gate-kept by the integration provider. A lot of other tools, whether it is chat tools, messaging tools, CRM platforms, the third party will integrate with them. You'll see it in their marketplace or in their integration options. And you go integrate and turn it on, but it's limited to whatever they provided. And the way we design this forwardable webhook means that you can extend that however you want. And you can design the exact workflow and the exact again, another future topic for us to cover in a video actually, and show off how to do it. In a case, I think one powerful thing we would show off to potential customers who want to use this is using a affordable webhook and a open source automation tool like N8N to very inexpensively automate your entire business and the communications with your customers. And that's something that you could do with affordable webhooks and our APIs.
Wow, that's very impressive.
You can customize it to your business.
Yeah.
Yeah, having spent a lot of time on various review sites, I see that's a common frustration of many customers out there is when they purchase tools that are meant for cookie cutter type businesses. And I'm really impressed with the fact that VirtualText, people can use it, businesses can use it however they would like between the AI agent and the open API. It's fully customizable for any type of business in the way that they want to manage and run their business.
Exactly. And we also designed this from the ground up to be private. So this product is not a giant platform that you share your data with other customers. It's not a multi-tenant product, basically. It's a single tenant product, meaning that we deploy it for one business and all their data is private to them. And we also can deploy it in specific geographical locations in case they have regulatory compliance needs, right? Hey, I need it to be in the EU, I need it to be in the US, whatever it is. And that's one unique feature that we designed from day one of this product, because we felt that the all-you-can-eat SaaS model of multi-tenant and sharing your data with everybody in one cloud is too big a risk for a lot of companies these days. These are conversations you have with your individual customers. They should be locked down and private to you in your own private space. And you should also know for a fact that, like we've always been proud of this over our 27-year history, we never, ever take advantage of customer data for our own improvement. We don't resell it. We don't let anyone access it. We fight every single attempt by regulations to open up that data. And we've been successful for 27 years at that. And so in this product, we took extra care to make sure that, for example, if you join Virtual PBX and you bring all your customer data in there, you have all these valuable conversations with us about it. And for some reason in the future, you decide to leave, the data goes away. It disappears. Virtual PBX retains nothing, which we thought was a really important part because a lot of other platforms don't do that. They keep all your data. They use your data for AI training, for all kinds of things. And we made sure that we don't do that.
Yeah, I've had personal firsthand experience with that. I think we've all had with other companies. And so that's great to hear. And, what is happening next now that it's launched?
Well, we keep going full bore. We have a whole roadmap of features and functionality improvements. But the big ones we're going to be bringing to market here pretty quickly is we're doing some more improvements in the AI playbooks, which we'll talk about in another video, another discussion, I should say. But a big one is we're going to be building a new responsive UI so that this will scale down perfectly onto mobile phones and tablets. That's the one thing that we have left on our initial 1.0 roadmap that we're kind of working out right now. So that'll be coming out shortly in the next few weeks. And then after that, we have a chain of things to do, but we'll probably start looking at, as customers start using the product, what other channels of communication do they want? We have a lot of ideas internally of what we want to do, but we want to hear from our customers. What do they want to do? And real quick on just a tangent of that, one of the challenges we always found in text messaging for customers, and this goes to why we have web chat in the product also, is the regulatory compliance needs of text messaging these days is getting a little bit burdensome for small businesses and solo entrepreneurs. And so while we're really good at it for our customers and getting them on board and getting them up and running with text messaging, sometimes it's challenging for certain types of companies to get up and running quickly, which is why we have web chat in there so they can get up and running, talking to their customers on their website while they're waiting for text messaging to register, for example, if they haven't done it before. But adding RCS, WhatsApp, other over-the-top communications is how we plan on giving businesses opportunities to communicate with customers without any kind of burdensome regulations or requirements on how they communicate with them. And that's going to be one of our priorities going into like this post-launch phase, basically.
Excellent. Well, those were all the questions.
Well, Charlie, you did great. It's awesome. Like I said, we should be doing this every week.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again. Is there anything that we want to expand upon at the very end?
Come check out the product, get a demo. That's
yeah.
what it is. Seriously.
The launch is live now, so schedule a time, have a demo with us, and get to know the product better.
Yep.
All right. Well, it was great
Awesome.
talking with you guys today, and we'll do it again sometime soon.
Thanks. Bye, Charlie.
All right, see you guys.